fanatic perspective, congratulations to the 2021 national champion Baylor Bears of Waco, Texas, defeating the Gonzaga Bulldogs in their quest for perfection. They were going for 32-0, didn't get there. Baylor thrashes them 86-70 in the national championship game. Congratulations to Baylor. Congratulations to my buddy Justin out there, my friend Amy, most of the Baylor people I know, Tina, all these people out here that I know from Baylor or in the Baylor community. Congratulations. In the words of Wale, if I missed you, I didn't miss you. Now, getting on to what occurred in this game, we'll break it down. By the way, as you see, we're on our way to 10K. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers. Really appreciate it. Don't ask for much on this channel, but I do ask for the support and help grow this platform and this channel. Now, Scott Drew, national championship head coach Scott Drew. Myself, and you may think I have a very salty tone right now. I do, considering my team went out in the first round in embarrassing fashion. Now that, indirectly leads to us having a new head coach and some new energy in our program under the leadership of Chris Beard. But Chris Beard's job is a lot tougher. Was already tough in the Big 12 conference. As you guys saw, the Big 12 conference was the best basketball conference in America this year. No, it was not the Big 10. Yes, the Pac-12 had an amazing run in the tournament, but at the end of the day, from the beginning of the season to the end, it was the Big 12. And the best team in the Big 12 by far was Baylor. Baylor only had one loss in the Big 12. Well, actually two, because they lost the one game in the tournament to Oklahoma State. But for them to only lose to Oklahoma State in the Big 12 tournament and Kansas overall in regular season play, on top of the out-of-conference schedule. And please keep in mind, these two teams, Baylor and Gonzaga, were supposed to play. COVID cancellation didn't happen. But, I just, going back to Scott Drew and his journey and taking over, a lot of credit to him for where this program was after they covered up a murder of a basketball player and had all of the disgraced era nonsense under Dave Bliss and one of the most horrific, crazy scandals in honestly NCAA sports history that happened at Baylor, for Scott Drew to come in, son of Homer Drew, and the Drew family is a great basketball family in itself, but Scott Drew to come in and not just right the ship, but build a program to respectability, build a competitive program, build a program that has had NBA prospects, has been recruiting better, and has become a force in college basketball. And they are certainly validated tonight. If they were never before, they were validated tonight, because the story coming to this game was Gonzaga, considering they had just come off one of the best basketball games we've ever seen against UCLA. And, Grant Hill says it somewhere on the broadcast where he's like, hey, could it be that Gonzaga doesn't, they're tired, legs from Saturday, blah, blah, blah. I had jokingly tweeted about Baylor got a bye on Saturday, taking a little jab at Houston. But Houston turned out to be just another victim, because Baylor did this essentially in this tournament. This is probably the most impressive run in terms of margin of victory since, not in a long, long time, because Villanova had a really good run with DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, Eric Pascal, like all those guys, and Michael Bridges. So Villanova had a really good run, and then I put Baylor probably was a little bit more dominant in terms of the opponents that they defeated, because they did have to play an undefeated team in the national championship game who was about to be a wire-to-wire number one. I'd probably go back to 2009 North Carolina. That last year with Psycho T, Tyler Hansbrough, and Ty Lawson and Wayne Ellington. Those dudes just ran through the tournament when they beat up on Michigan State in the final. I remember none of those games were close, and they were very comfortable wins. Now Baylor, good game against Arkansas. They were right there neck and neck with Villanova for a while until they pulled away. So Baylor did have some competitive games, but this Final Four, they were lights out. Baylor was lights out. And I said this for those of you who watched the video I made after my chair is dipping. The video I made after the Texas and Baylor game, the one time they got to play this year, and I said there's levels to this, and it's something I say often because it's so applicable in sports. Like, I felt like at that time Texas was playing actually pretty well, and we were coming off like the COVID thing. We played, and Baylor just was. But the thing I said about Baylor then, and it played out tonight, is when you have that many people who are skilled. When I say skilled, I'm talking about dribble, pass, shoot. Okay, because I'm not even getting to the physicality stuff here yet. Dribble, pass, shoot. That means you can create your own offense, whether it's offense for yourself or offense for another player. Whether it was Jared Butler, whether it was Davion Mitchell, whether it was Maceo T, whether it was Flagler, shoot, throw Matthew Mayer in there. Don't matter. Like, they have dudes that can get theirs late in the shot clock, but it's also not bad offense, though. It's not like they're just straight ISO, dribble all over the place. Baylor moves the ball. Very, very efficient shooting team, one of the best shooting teams in college basketball all season, and not just from the three-point line. They actually have brothers with mid-range game, because when you get to the physicality aspect, you realize really early on, this game started out with like 9-0. You realize early on, wow, Gonzaga cannot guard them one-on-one. Like, these brothers are too quick. They're blowing by them. They're able to get separation. They're not missing shots. What is Gonzaga to do? Now, Mark Few trying to mix things up, throws out zone defense. Okay, cool. One of the things about zone defense, if you're patient, though, there are pockets in the zone where you can get wide open looks, oftentimes in the mid-range. Maceo Teague, Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, that's a strength of his. They had no issue with that. And then you think about on the physical side, Davion Mitchell getting all up in every single Gonzaga ball handler. You look at the unsung heroes like Mark Vital, who I cannot stand as a person who roots Big 12 basketball, but those are the type of people, that little 6'4" tight end that's out there, who is just out there just throwing his body around, getting offensive rebounds, and he's a grown-ass man. And dudes on Gonzaga who were, I felt like, rightfully questioned about interior toughness based upon the competition they played. And Gonzaga did play a very, very good out-of-conference schedule. NCAA tournament aside, they played Kansas, they played West Virginia, they played UVA, they were going to play Baylor. Like, Gonzaga played some teams, so it's not like they were just cruising through the WCC, right? Like, they played some teams. But the way Baylor went through that Big 12 gauntlet, and you're talking about, dude, just because their bigs aren't skilled in the manner of scoring or getting buckets or whatever, but for somebody like a Drew Timme, who does struggle with, athleticism or length or things like that, as good as his footwork is, if I'm throwing Mo Thambla and Chichua and Vital and all these different, wrinkles at Gonzaga, it just completely flustered them. And you see things I said it carries over mentally. Gonzaga not taking care of the basketball, uncharacteristic mistakes, whether it's, you're getting too cute passing the ball, you're not taking shots when they're there. There were several times Gonzaga's on an open break and they don't even throw it ahead to a man and end up getting fouled and they get missed free throws. and they just are not sharp. That's because Baylor set the tone and the intensity. You got to give credit to Scott Drew and his kids from doing that from the jump. Yes, Gonzaga was going to make runs. They're a great, great team. And that leads to the other thing, like how is this Gonzaga team going to be remembered, right? Because they were on the path for greatness. We know when it comes to this Baylor team, because Baylor is right there in the conversation. 28-2 is nothing to sneeze at for and your two losses was Oklahoma State, Cade Cunningham, and I think it was at Kansas. Like that's it for your whole basketball season. So Baylor's going to be remembered as champions. And the other storyline for Baylor is what the job that Scott Drew has done over the last 18 years. That's that storyline. The other storyline for Gonzaga is, are they now, like with the 17-0 New England Patriots, like these teams that we talk about in sports? Do we years from now just remember the UCLA game and say, oh, they came up short, but what a moment they had, what a game we watched? I'm very curious to see and hear in the comments, how will this team be remembered? Because for as great as they were, an all-timer, I think we realized very early in this game they wasn't even close to being the best basketball team on the floor from a skill level perspective. And Gonzaga is going to have pros. Ayayi is projected to go, as of DraftNet. I mean, I could share that too. I mean, you look at some of these guys here who are I'll go ahead and show this, because I think it's important to understand historical context of coming out of this game. Who are some of the people that let's see here. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm going to get that on there. So who are some of the people that we'll remember as NBA players and, oh, that guy played in this game and didn't realize it at that time, right? So Jalen Suggs is the obvious one. Jalen Suggs competed his ass off. As you can see, they got him going. And I just use NBA DraftNet because I've been using DraftNet since 2002 when I think it was like Yao Ming and Jay Williams. So I'm a big DraftNet head. But Jalen Suggs here at number 3. So they got him up there. We talk about Cade Cunningham. That's a guy that Baylor had lost earlier in the year, but that was pretty much it, right? And, people coming out of this game, and you see a lot from Suggs and how he competed his ass off tonight, but when you're going against all those guards and Davion Mitchell, very impressive. Now, I tweeted about Kispert because they got him here in the top 10. I understand how open the NBA game is today and shooters and the value of shooting and all that. And I think the comp they have for him there is Joe Harris. But one of my issues with Kispert is it looked like Fright Night for him this whole tournament. And I've seen a lot of college dudes come out before that can shoot the hell out of the basketball. And granted, he almost had a 50-40-90 season in terms of his shooting splits. But I didn't see that in the tournament. I didn't think he played well in the UCLA game. He definitely didn't play well tonight. And they got him out of his game. Davion Mitchell, who you'll see here as well, who they have in the mid rounds, just right outside the lottery. There was a time where he switched on him. He closed so hard on Kispert, he didn't even want to pull the trigger anymore. Or when, Kispert, UCLA game, he goes to the rim, he gets a dunk. So he does showcase some of that athleticism. But then today he gets there and Vital swats his stuff out of bounds. I mean, I just worry about his secondary moves, mid-range, some of the things you even saw from a guy like Amasio Teague today or Flagler. Like, I didn't see any of those secondary things from Kispert. So for me, that's a question mark. I understand some of the buzz around him, potentially being that high, but especially with you factoring in age too. Also, shout out to my boy Kai Jones here. Interested in New Orleans. That's bump ahead with Jackson Hayes, but that's neither here nor there. Davion Mitchell reminds me, moving on to him, this brother here reminds me of Kyle Lowry from Toronto. I think Davion Mitchell's just built different. He's got that toughness, that grit defensively, where he locks in. He looks like he's willing to pick up, the full court. I love his mid-range game. Definitely got to work on his free throw shooting, but his 3-point shooting has come along. I think all that will evolve. You can tell the brother works diligently on his game, and I actually think Davion Mitchell's a little underrated, to be honest with you, considering what he's brought. And you look at people in the league right now like Devontae Graham and other guys who have had some success, but Kyle Lowry, he remember Kyle Lowry coming out of Villanova wasn't really much of an offensive player. He was more of that type of dude, and look what he developed into with his work ethic. Scrolling down, who else was in this game? Ayayi, yeah. So they got him over here. Length. These are more projections. Shout out to Greg Brown. I hope you come back. Um, but yeah, I mean, and then over here, they sleeping on Jared Butler a little bit, and he's Mr. All American preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. There's some concerns about his positional versatility. Some people think he smells like Joseph Forte, throwback name to North Carolina days back. If you can't tell, I grew up as a North Carolina fan. That's who he reminds me of. But he shot the hell out of the basketball in this Final Four and really this tournament. And I like the pace that he plays with. He doesn't seem to get out of his wits. And I think he's a better shooter than people give him credit for. I think he has a beautiful stroke when he shoots the basketball. Some of that reminds me of Allen Houston a little bit sometimes when he gets it off the catch. I don't think he's much of a point guard, but he can play it. But I don't look at him as somebody who's going to be a long-term facilitator at the NBA level. And then the big name, the man that everybody likes to talk about, Drew Timme, who we know the post work and the skills that he has. But why do they have him in the second round? Now, granted, Drew Timme's only a sophomore, so could return to Gonzaga. High possibility. Thing with him, though, is you look at his rebounding in the UCLA game. I think he had 4 rebounds. Today he has 5 rebounds. So there's some verticality challenges. It's late. I'm having trouble talking. Leave me alone. And how's he going to guard people? All the struggles he had tonight, strength. You heard people throwing out weight room, things of that sort. So I don't know how much more Drew Timme can progress physically. We've seen big men in the tournament have some success and then, struggle in the league around athleticism. I remember, 10 years ago, I'm going to throw out another name, Omar Samhan from St. Mary's, another WCC player who was out there getting buckets and finishing over both shoulders, everything. And yeah, he, was ended up playing in Europe, I think. Really didn't do anything in the NBA. So that's something to pay attention to for Drew Timme if he decides to enter the NBA draft. But I overall, I think this was these two teams were by far the best 2 teams in college basketball. Congratulations to Baylor. Sucks saying all that, but effort that was well deserved on their part. I will be back with more content. Football season is on the horizon now with spring and all the draft stuff. So it's a full-time job, but I am really enjoyed this tournament and them being able to pull it off in Indianapolis despite all of the concerns. So I appreciate you guys. Hit me in the comments. Let's get to 10K. Follow us on Twitter if you don't have the handle. Instagram. Start doing some more Instagram lives as well. So y'all hit me up. Let's stay connected. All right. Appreciate y'all. I'm out. Thanks.